Will the Astros are headed to Mexico City for the World Tour Major League Baseball. Astros versus Rockies. Fromber comes back Sunday. And Ronel, I hate giving up hits, Blanco will be on the mound. Mike Stanton and I will talk about it. And guess what? Mike's actually played in Mexico City. We'll hear about his experience and how the ball may fly there. Let's go.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heater low in the way, you can't hit it. Know you wanna start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk it back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We are back to the bullpen. I am Htown Wheelhouse, and we're coming to you live from the Rams Shirt Studios, where you can find your Back to the Bullpen shirt. You saw it there in the ad, in the QR code right here is where you can get it. You can find us on X. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on iHeartRadio, on Spotify. It's free and easy to listen to. I mean, if you're going to go somewhere to watch the game, why don't you put in Back to the Bullpen? You know, look, we got these exclusive first run shirts, but your shirts that you order have the full title in Mike's name, the second all-time leading appearance pitcher in Major League history. Mike, tell everybody where they can find you. Oh, hold on.
That is X, formerly known as Twitter, at Mike Stanton 29.
All right, Mike, thank you so much for coming into the show today. And I know that we were really hoping that going to the Windy City, that we won a series going into Mexico against the beleaguered Rockies of Colorado and maybe build up 4 out of 5 wins. And, well, the Windy City was not very friendly to us. The Windy City kind of swept us out, and we were swept out of Chicago. But it wasn't a series where the Cubs just took command and really just broke the will of the Astros. It was where the Astros really had an opportunity, even in the Verlander game, to score a lot of runs, and they just could not do it.
Yeah, and you can't really put your finger on it. It wasn't like they were playing terrible baseball. It wasn't like they got blown out. They just lost the games. And, I'm not going to say it's just luck because one of the things we've heard from all these players is you kind of make your own luck. But when things aren't going well, guess what? They're not going well. And that's really what's happening here. They just, they're finding ways to lose. In Chicago, they found a way to lose closely, but a loss is a loss. So, off day, well, I guess today, Friday, with the series starting, just the 2-game series starting against the Rockies tomorrow, Saturday. So, what do they need to do? They just got to keep playing. I mean, they got to keep pushing. They got to keep, just doing the little things. And, the biggest thing that we're looking at more than anything else is that same category, which is runners in scoring position.
Yeah. Yeah. The risk that just keeps on, the risk that doesn't keep on giving. Right. I mean,
right.
I'm coming up with too many risks, like just sayings, because we don't know how to hit with runners in scoring position. And it's odd because you have a guy that's basically being benched who has one of the best runners in scoring position career averages in Jose Abreu. You have Mauricio Dubon, and weird stats that make you go, kind of like the old Arsenio Hall show.
Right.
If some of our crowd that's our age, a little older, remembers the Arsenio Hall show. Some people are like, kids are like, what is that? But Mauricio Dubon leads the league with runners in scoring position, or he's right there at the top. But then when nobody's on base, he's terrible. Now, Yainer Diaz has come back a little bit to where he's better, but he's still not great with runners in scoring position.
Right.
You've got a team that offensively, when you look on paper, when I pull up the Astros page and they show the stats and the teams leading, the Astros are on 3 or 4 places, and they're not hitting. They are hitting the ball. And then you've got Taylor Scott. You got Rafael Montero. having really good seasons for them, filling the void of Stanek and Neris, who, wow, that was odd seeing Neris play against
Salt
us.
in the wound. That was just salt in the wound.
Jose teased us a little bit with the home run towards the end, but Neris, man, we talk about fire, and I don't mean to chase a rabbit here, but that fire that he has is a fire that this team's missing.
It seems that way, but how much can a reliever really do?
Well,
I
that's
mean, he's
true.
not around the rest of the team. And listen, whenever a team is flat, whenever a team is losing, whenever you're leaving guys on base left and right, you always look like you don't care. You always look like that you're just going through the motions. You're not trying, which is actually probably the opposite of what's going on. What's really going on is they're trying too hard. You're going to tell me they don't know the numbers? Yeah, right. They absolutely know the numbers. And so when you get those runners in scoring position, we've seen them have the same struggles in the post in extra innings. I mean, they're terrible in extra innings. It makes no sense whatsoever. As great as this team has been offensively, they've got one of the worst all-time records in extra innings. It's really incredible. And so what's going on? They're thinking about it. And I tell the players that I work with all the time, the brain is a terrible thing. It gets in the way more than it ever helps us, even for major league players, the best in the world. They still, when you start trying to think your way through situations, the brain just doesn't work fast enough. You gotta go. Some of the best players I played with were box of rocks, man. They were not highly intelligent players and people, but they were highly intelligent baseball players. And what did they do? They just went out and played. Played like a kid. Just go out and do it and not let the brain get in the way.
And, I think that's one of the first things that I think this fan base notices is they've gotten so used to winning and watching the team enjoy it.
Sure.
But you don't have the electric personality of George Springer. You don't have the fire of Carlos Correa, doing, holding his ear, as he rounds third. Altuve doesn't pimp home runs. I mean, Jordan has thrown a bat in a Game 6 World Series where he turned the game upside down and they won the World Series. Jordan's not an android, although you would like walking in a room, you're like, this guy's got to be the Terminator. But, this team has men on it that really care. But where do they go from here? Because, Mike, I said on X, and a lot of people agreed with me, it's not in, is a Spada one and done? How many games will they have to lose before they let a Spada go? Or if we had Dusty, if we had hired this guy, all these conversations, Maldonado this, and Diaz isn't ready that. And it really boils down to the guys in the clubhouse that are in the trenches that know the numbers and that say, you know what? We just got to keep walking. Like yesterday sucked. Today can't suck. Today's got to be better. And my thing is they're going to eventually walk out of this valley, Mike. But if there's any team that can walk out of the valley in time to still make it to the playoffs, I think it's the Houston Astros.
Well, I mean, one of the things that they have going for them is that it's so early in the season that it is, Brian McTaggart put out an article yesterday, or maybe it was earlier today, that he was talking about there was only one team since 1900 that has been in this situation and made the playoffs. And I think it was like the 1914 Boston Braves.
Right.
So what does that mean? Well, the precedent has been set. The precedence has been set. So, but listen, this is still a very good team. Okay. But right now they just can't get out of their own ways. And, the question you asked is, what do they need to do? Well, listen, the hardest thing to do in a situation like this is turn the page, is not remember what happened yesterday. What's happened over the first, month of the season here, and move forward. You go in, hey, listen, it's a clean slate today. Come out and do the little things and win a baseball game. I mean, right now, that seems like a daunting task. That seems like Mount Everest in front of you.
It
But
does.
once they get that next win, hopefully tomorrow, they get that first win. Now you can take a deep breath. Now you can relax a little bit and you can go out and have fun. Listen, these dudes are not having fun.
Oh,
And
no.
this is supposed to be a fun, even for major league players. There is so many negatives built around this sport. If you're not having fun, it's time to go home. But these dudes aren't having fun right now.
Yeah.
Because losing is not fun. And I've been on some very, very good teams, and I've been on some really bad teams also. And when you're in a losing streak like this, everybody's looking at each other. Everybody's trying too hard. Everybody is thinking too much. And there's only one thing that happens when you do that. And that's, you find another way to lose.
Right, exactly. And look, I just want to speak to this real quick before we move on. I think some of y'all out there may be losing when it comes to getting the right haircut. Look, if you need to end your losing streak, you need to go to state-of-the-art barbershop. Go see my guy, Ever Cruz, at state-of-the-art barbershop, 1616 South Friendswood Drive. You can literally go in and any of their barbers in there. They are licensed, they're professional. They've got the TV on. They are our sponsor. He's got a really bad sports wall. It is top notch. The service you get, and look, they're not going to overcharge you for something you don't want. And you get to pick different packages. You can get the full facial treatment. You can get the towel treatment. You can get the beard shave. You can get whatever you want. Go in, see my guy, Ever Cruz, and his guys and girls, 1616 South Friendswood Drive, state-of-the-art barbershop. It is where you need to be.
And make sure you tell them that Brent and Mike sent you.
That's right. Tell them that you heard it from Back to the Bullpen. So, Mike, your experience, you said that you played in Mexico City.
Yes.
Now, I'm assuming it may or may not be the same stadium, but it doesn't matter because I call this Rockies home field 2.0. Like,
yeah,
it's not just up there. This is not just a Rocky Mountain High. This is a Mexico City Mountain High because the ball will fly as far as the eye can see. And what better place to start a win streak than in an absolute launching pad, basically like you're going to the moon.
Yeah. So I think the highest baseball stadium in AAA in Major League in professional baseball, in AAA baseball, I think is Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And I'm going to say it's 7,200 feet ish, somewhere right in there. Mexico City's higher. Okay, not by much, just 100 or a couple hundred feet, but
still,
the ball is going to fly. Yes, I was with the Atlanta Braves, and we spent 2 or 3 days there in spring training back in the 90s, early 90s. And the stadium we played in was old school AstroTurf, so it was like playing on the parking lot. It was just so incredibly fast. And then anything that got any air out underneath it went out of the ballpark. And it was just a pitcher's nightmare because you had nowhere to go to get a hitter out. Now, this was a long time ago. I'm sure they're not playing in the same stadium,
right?
But they are still playing in the same city. And, maybe this is what the Astros really need right now. They need a laugher. They need a blowout. They need to just destroy the ball, score 20 runs, have fun at the ballpark again. Now, it could still be, listen, the Colorado Rockies are used to playing at elevation. Okay. They're not a very good team, but they still have some hitters, and, everybody's better when you're playing at elevation, when you're hitting at elevation. So the pitchers are still going to have to make their pitches. There's going to be runs scored on both sides, but this Astros team, they just need to open up a can of what and just have some fun one day.
Yeah, exactly. I think we need to see like a 2 home run game out of Mauricio Dubon.
How about a 2 home run out of the lineup, like the whole lineup? Everybody has 2 home runs. There you
go. And Trey Cabbage is the position player that they brought up.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets in the game, look, I've seen this
Big
guy.
Pop. Yeah.
This kid is yoked. This kid looks like when I talked to him the last game I went to, I said, hey, Trey, it's good to meet you. And was talking about the different podcasts that I do. And I said, no offense, but dude, you're a lot bigger in person. And he just laughed. I mean, he looks like Mike Allstott from the 90s Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, This dude is yoked. And
this kid looks like what you think you look like when you're sleeping at night.
There you go. Right. Every guy wants to be him, and every girl wants to date him, right?
There you go.
So, I mean, and that's just I think we have a good setup pitching wise, because you have Ronel Blanco, who has limited the hits, who's got a lot of swings and misses. You got Framber Valdez, who's traditionally a ground ball pitcher. Now you hope that Framber is back full strength. We don't know how he's going to be, but they did option down JP France. They decided to keep Arrighetti. Now there's a lot of people wondering, because France really hasn't done that bad outside of an inning or two. Mm-hmm. Is this a signal from the Astros that they want to give Arrighetti more of a chance because they see him a part of this rotation? Or is this maybe they're just looking at matchups and it's just what works, and maybe they give JP France a few days to work on some stuff?
Yeah, I think it's more of the latter. I don't think it's, Arrighetti, you kind of know what you're gonna get. Is he gonna get better? Of course he is. Once he gets his feet grounded and the game slows down. But we know who JP France is. JP France was their most consistent pitcher last year, 100%. and it was in a big sample. It was the whole season. He's just had a couple really bad innings that he has not been able to get out of and given up big numbers. And I think what this is more than anything else is to take the pressure off of JP France and let him just kind of, instead of being on a team that all the expectations in the world's on the team, all the pressure is on the team and not playing well, go down to AAA, have a start or two that you can just go out and you can just work on things and kind of get back on a roll a little bit, and then come back up and be the pitcher that we know he can be. What I've seen from JP France more than anything else is he's just spending too much time, not really hanging pitches, but there's just too many balls that are belt high.
Yeah.
Whether it's a fastball or a breaking ball, whatever it is, go back and look at, the hits he's given up. Everything has been in the middle height of the strike zone, and big league hitters are going to put good passes on that ball, regardless of whether it's, curving or if it's a fastball or a changeup, whatever it may be. They're still going to put good passes on the ball. He's got to go down below the zone, get the ball up above that area. But spending a lot of time in that middle is not a good place, especially when you don't have plus stuff.
Yeah. So it's just, it's interesting though, because you look at this pitching staff, you look at all the injuries, you look at, JV is now healthy. Mm-hmm. The pitching, again, hasn't been the problem on the front end. It's really the back end puzzle that is really hard for me to understand, because Brian Abreu is really probably, I think, was maybe underrated by a lot of people in the league, but we knew in Houston what we had last year, and Brian Abreu, how clutch he was. He worked out really hard this summer. He put in the work, he put in the time. You saw all the videos. And sometimes it seems like when you see all this emphasis on all these things, it almost has the reverse effect. How does you're a relief pitcher. You spent your time in the bullpen. Mm-hmm. You saw great relievers. You saw somewhat great relievers. You saw, Hall of Famers. And what do these back end guys, do they get together? Like, are the 7th, 8th, and 9th guys a club, or is it just all the bullpen? Like, what do we do? What do they do to get out of this mindset? Because it just seems like whatever they try to do, they have maybe one successful inning, then boom, it falls apart. I mean, where do they go mentally?
Well, no, it's not, your bullpen isn't divided.
Okay.
It's a relatively small part of the team. You're sitting out there all by yourselves. You really, in some ways, you really don't have all that much connection with the rest of the team, especially once the game starts.
True.
You're in the clubhouse after pregame, postgame. You're on the field together, everything during batting practice. But No, the back end guys, to tell you the truth, they need the guys that are in front of them as much as they need each other.
Yeah.
There's not a save if a save can't, if you can't be leading by the time you get to the ninth. So you're really trying to help each other out. But confidence comes and goes just like anything else in life. It doesn't matter how good your stuff is. I mean, Josh Hader's, arguably the best reliever in baseball last year and has been for, 5 or 6 years. He struggles too. You don't make quality pitches, you don't get big league hitters out. And that's really where it goes. But, that confidence, listen, hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in professional sports, period. There's no question. Okay. But there's times that you stand out there on the mound and you're actually questioning everything you throw. If I throw a curveball, he's going to hit it. But if I just threw a fastball, if I throw another one, he's going to hit that. And you're second guess yourself like crazy. And that's why I said earlier, your brain is a terrible thing. It gets in the way. Instead of just, yes, that's what I want to throw. Let it eat, hit your spot. You're going to be successful. And what do these guys have to do? They just have to move on. Forget what's happened. Try and stay calm, cool, and collected when you're on the mound, when you're at the plate, and just let your athletic abilities show up. The brain is what is stopping you. The brain is what is getting in the way. Now, it's also much easier for me to sit here and say this than for them to actually use that information and go out there and perform.
Now, okay, I have a question. This is more kind of not off range, but it's in your wheelhouse, no pun intended, because you were with the Braves in the 90s. You were around the guys like Glavine and Maddox and Avery and, all those guys. There was that commercial that Maddox, was it Maddox and Tom Glavine did?
Yeah.
Chicks
dig the long ball. Yeah.
Do you remember those days?
Absolutely.
I mean, that to me is one of my most favorite commercials because Mark McGwire was my favorite player growing up. So yeah. I've always loved that commercial. I just wonder, like, were those guys good in the clubhouse? Were those guys fun to be around? I mean, how well did you know this crew? Because that was one hell of a starting rotation.
Oh, very well. Very well. And yeah, we got along. Now, listen, you can't put 24, 25 type A personalities in a room for 9 months of a season and not have some turmoil, not have some issues. But for the most part, yeah, everybody gets along. Yeah, were there a couple players that I played with over the years? I'm obviously not going to say any names, but that didn't really get along with, of course. But the bottom line is, once the game starts, you all have to pull from the same end of the rope.
True.
The ultimate goal is to win baseball games, is to win a World Series. And if everybody, whether you like the dude standing next to you or not, if everybody has the same common goal that you're going to do everything you can to help the team win, then that's fine. It's just a dude that I'm not going to go out to lunch with. But yeah, those. So through the years, I played with so many good dudes, and yeah, Greg Maddox was a trickster, big time. Tom Glavine was a little bit more reserved, but he had a good personality. John Small. I mean, all of them. You could just go through the list. They were a great bunch of guys, very talented. But you know what they did? They had fun.
That's true. Now, I want to ask you about Smoltz because Smoltz made a pretty amazing transition from starter to closer and was very good at that. I mean, is he one of the few guys that have ever made that transition and done it as well as he has? Because I don't recall a lot of pitchers making that transition.
Well, I mean, if you look at the numbers, there's not very many guys that have that kind of resume that was a dominant starting pitcher and then a dominant closer. I mean, the only one that I can think of off the top of my head was Dennis Eckersley.
Okay.
But I don't even know if Dennis was all that dominant as a starter.
Right.
The reason Smoltz went to the bullpen was because he was coming off of an elbow injury and they wanted to try and limit the workload. and being a closer. But I'll tell you what, he went down to the bullpen. His fastball jumped up 2 or 3 miles an hour, and he was just as good as you could possibly be. A couple of years there, I mean, it seemed like he was unhittable every time he went out there. Did a great job of staying within himself and focusing and executing pitches. They tried to do that in 1993. Okay, 1993, we're playing the Phillies in the postseason, and John Smoltz, they sent John down to warm up at the end of that series. There was several less relievers still down there, but he came down to warm up, and he did not have the mindset of a reliever. I mean, he never got in the game, but he was about to go in the game, and he was visibly nervous. Well, he fixed all that when he went back to the bullpen.
There you go, back to the bullpen.
There you go. After the surgery, because I mean, some of the most spectacular years you've ever seen.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that makes
it's all about controlling your emotions,
and that's what makes me think of and see. I'm tying this back to the Astros. I don't know if you knew this. This was kind of a backdoor.
Figured we were going to go there.
Yeah. Lance McCullers Jr. Now, I know Lance McCullers Jr. has had a lot more adversity physical wise and surgery wise on his arm and on his elbow. And so maybe he doesn't come out with the same velocity uptick that Smoltz did.
Yeah.
But if Lance McCullers can hone in on the mindset he had in that 2017 World Series run, Lance McCullers could be still a very valuable asset to this team.
Oh, sure.
Once he comes in. And do you think the Astros just say, you know what, or do you think they've had those conversations? We probably need to make you a bullpen piece because we want to make sure we can use you the rest of your career.
Yeah. I don't know. Because a lot of that has to do with the player himself.
True.
And if Lance, still fancies himself as a starting pitcher, then that's going to be a tough sell. I don't know. Bobby Cox and company, when John was coming off of that elbow injury, and I think it was Tommy John, so he was out a while. When he came back, he was on board with that idea. Now, but as far as Lance is concerned, I mean, the only one that can tell us that it would be Lance himself if he's willing to do that. It's a little different time now. They are limiting both starters and relievers. But if he still feels like he's a starting pitcher, then I would think they're going to give him every opportunity to be a starting pitcher. And then if that doesn't work, then maybe you talk about being a reliever.
Okay. Yeah, I just wonder because I know that's a conversation that a lot of people have. Let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Do you think the Astros can beat the Rockies in these two games? Yes or no? They're coming in with the same record, I believe.
Absolutely. I mean, because listen, go to MLB.com, pull up the two rosters, and you tell me who's got a better roster. Tell me which team is underachieving and which team is just, achieving.
Right.
The Astros are definitely underachieving. Like I said, they need to have a fun day. They need to have home run derby. They need to have just a laugher that the pitchers throw the ball well, the hitters, just blow them out and just have a fun day and relax and have fun at the ballpark.
It's like that guy. I don't know if you've seen the guy, and I'll try to search for it, send it to your phone. After the show this weekend, there is a guy that has become famous on Instagram where he's a coach of a little league team, and it's clearly satire.
Yeah.
But he goes, what is our goal today, boys? And they're like, to go out and have fun. He's like, no. He goes, our job is to make the pitcher on the other team's parents cry. If they hit home run.
I like it.
And then And then when his kid's throwing bad, there's like a video of him going up on the mound, and he goes, I have a question. Do you play catch with your dad? He goes, yeah. He goes, well, either your dad's never played sports or your dad's just not a good father because you absolutely suck at throwing strikes. I mean, it is hilarious. It is like everything that you would think is wrong with like youth sports, right, but it's all in a parody form. And I'm hoping that what we're seeing is a parody. And the Astros, I think they're pulling one over on the league, Mike. I think they're just messing with us. And that's what a Rangers fan said on our feed. They said, hey, I think the Astros are playing with us, and I'm kind of scared because I know what they
so
have.
the Astros have the league right where they want them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Hey, listen, anything can happen. 1914 Boston Braves.
There you go. There you go. And the Astros are the only AL team to go to 7 straight ALCS. So why not us? And why not now?
There you go.
For myself, for Mike Stanton, the World Series champion, and your favorite relief pitcher, and me, your favorite Pony League All-Star catcher, Htown Wheelhouse. Y'all have a good one. We are out.
Adios.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, man, I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat low in the way, you can't hit it. You know you wanna start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk your back, looking